Zara stood in front of the mirror in her small room on the research station. Her pale blue hands shook as she fixed her uniform for the third time. Today was the day she would meet humans for the first time. Real humans, not just videos or pictures in books. She was young for a Velnari scientist. At 25 Earth years old, she had big amber eyes and silver hair that fell to her shoulders. Her people were known for being very smart and very careful with words. They always said exactly what they meant. Nothing more, nothing less. The research station called Meridian floated in space between different worlds. It was a place where many alien species came to learn about each other. Zara had been chosen to study human behavior. It was a big job for someone so young. Her boss, Dr. Kessinda, had given her clear orders. "Watch the humans carefully," he had said. "Write down everything they do and say. We need to understand them better if we want to trade with them." Zara picked up her data pad and recording device. She checked her translator one more time. The small device would change human words into her language. It was very important that she understood everything correctly. The station's speakers made a soft sound. "Attention all staff. Human cargo ship New Horizons is now docking at Base 7. Zara's heart beat faster. She walked quickly through the station's white halls toward the docking bay. Other aliens moved past her. Some were tall and green. Others were short with fur. But she only cared about meeting the humans. At the docking bay, she saw the human ship for the first time. It was bigger than she thought it would be. Gray metal with blue lights along the sides. The ship looked strong but also old, like it had traveled many places. A door opened with a hiss of air. 3 humans walked out. The first one was tall with brown hair and kind eyes. He wore a dark blue uniform with patches on it. He looked around the docking bay and smiled. Behind him came a woman with short black hair. She was smaller but moved like she was very sure of herself. The third human was a big man with red hair and grease on his hands. Zara stepped forward. Her legs felt weak, but she made herself walk toward them. The tall human with brown hair saw her first. His smile got bigger. "Well, hello there," he said. "You must be from the research team." Zara's translator changed his words into her language. She tried to remember her training. "Yes, I am Zara of the Velnari people. I am here to study your kind." "Nice to meet you, Zara. I'm Jake Morrison, captain of the New Horizons." He pointed to the woman. "This is Lisa Grant, my pilot." Then he pointed to the big man. "And that's Pete Collins, our engineer." Lisa stepped forward and held out her hand. Zara had read about this human greeting. She took Lisa's hand and moved it up and down like the books had shown her. "Welcome to Meridian Station," Zara said. She was proud that her voice did not shake. Pete wiped his hands on a cloth and looked around. "Nice place you got here. How long have we got for the supply run?" "Your ship is scheduled for 12 hours, Zara said, reading from her data pad. Jake stretched his arms above his head. "Good. That gives us time to eat and rest." He put his hand on his stomach. "Man, I'm absolutely starving." That was a long trip from Earth. Zara's amber eyes went wide. Her translator had said the human was starving. That meant he was dying from not having food. But he looked healthy and strong. How could he be starving? She looked at Jake with new worry. "You are starving?" she asked. "Yeah. Haven't eaten since this morning. Could really go for some real food right about now." Lisa laughed. "Tell me about it." "I could eat a horse. Maybe 2 horses." Zara's datapad almost fell from her hands. This human wanted to eat horses? How many horses did one human need? Her mind tried to work out how big horses were. Very big. And this small human wanted to eat 2 of them? Pete nodded and patted his large stomach. "Same here. I'm so hungry I could eat my own boots." Zara stared at Pete's feet. His boots were made of leather and metal. How could anyone eat boots? Did humans have special teeth for eating such things? She made a quick note on her datapad. Are you all starving?" she asked. Her voice was very quiet. The 3 humans looked at each other and laughed. Jake put his hand on Zara's shoulder. She jumped a little at the touch. "Don't worry about us," Jake said. "We're tough. A little hunger never killed anyone." But Zara was very worried. These humans were clearly in bad shape. They needed food right away, but they wanted to eat horses and boots. What kind of stomachs did they have? "The station has food," she said quickly. "I can show you where to get food." "That sounds great," Lisa said. "Lead the way, Blue Girl." As they walked through the station, Zara's mind raced. She had to learn more about human eating habits. If humans could eat horses and boots when they were hungry, what would they eat when they were really desperate? She thought about all the other species on the station. Would the humans try to eat them too? Jake walked beside her and smiled. So you're studying us, huh? That's pretty cool. What do you want to know? Zara looked at him with her big amber eyes. Here was a being who was starving but still being kind to her. Maybe humans were more dangerous than anyone knew. But they also seemed nice. I want to understand everything about humans, she said. Your customs, your needs, your eating habits. Pete laughed loudly behind them. Our eating habits? Well, you're gonna have fun with that research. Zara did not understand why he was laughing. Eating habits were very serious, especially when the beings could eat horses and boots. As they reached the station's main food area, Zara saw many different aliens sitting at tables. They were eating normal food, vegetables, grains, some meat from small animals. Nothing too unusual. But what would the humans eat? She watched them carefully, her datapad ready to record everything. This was going to be a very interesting study. Zara sat at a table far from the humans, but close enough to watch them eat. She had her datapad ready and her recorder running. This was important research. She needed to see how beings who could eat horses actually ate their food. Jake sat down with a large sandwich on his plate. It looked normal enough. Bread, meat, some green things. Nothing too strange. But then he picked it up with both hands and took a huge bite. Oh man, Jake said with his mouth full. I'm totally devouring this thing. Zara wrote quickly on her datapad. The human was devouring his food. That meant he was eating it like a wild animal. She watched as he took another big bite. His teeth were not very sharp, but he seemed to be tearing the food apart. Lisa came back to the table with a bowl of soup and some kind of flat bread. She dipped the bread in the soup and ate it quickly. This is actually pretty good, Lisa said. Not as good as my mom's cooking, but I'm not complaining. Pete sat down with 3 plates. One had meat, one had vegetables, and one had something sweet and brown. Look at all this food, Pete said happily. It's like Christmas morning. Zara did not know what Christmas morning was, but Pete seemed very excited about the food. Maybe it was a human hunting celebration. Jake finished his sandwich in just a few minutes. Zara had never seen anyone eat so fast. He looked at Lisa's soup and pointed at it. How's that soup? He asked. It's pretty good. Want to try some? Sure. Jake took Lisa's spoon and tried the soup. His eyes got wide. Wow, that's amazing. I could eat this stuff all day. All day? Zara wrote more notes. The human wanted to eat soup for an entire day. How much soup was that? Her people ate small meals 3 times a day. But humans seemed to want to eat much more. Lisa laughed and took her spoon back. Easy there, big guy. Leave some for the rest of us. Then Lisa tried Pete's sweet brown thing. She closed her eyes and made a soft sound. Oh my God, this cake is to die for. Zara dropped her datapad. The human had said the cake was to die for. That meant the cake was so dangerous that eating it could kill her. But Lisa looked happy, not scared. Why would she want to eat something that could kill her? Lisa took another bite of the cake. Seriously, this is like having a foodgasm. Who made this? Zara's translator worked on the word foodgasm, but could not find a good translation. It seemed to be related to eating and some kind of body response. Were humans having physical reactions to their food? Was that why they made strange sounds when they ate? Pete cut off a piece of his meat and put it in his mouth. He chewed slowly and smiled. This really hits the spot, he said. Hits the spot? Zara looked around, worried. Was the food attacking Pete? But he looked fine. Better than fine. He looked very happy. Jake got up to get more food. I think I'll grab some of that cake too. If it's as good as Lisa says, I might just eat the whole thing. The whole thing? Zara looked at the cake. It was very big. Much bigger than any meal her people would eat. But Jake wanted to eat all of it by himself. When Jake came back with his piece of cake, he sat down and took a big bite. His face changed completely. He looked like he was in some kind of happy trance. Oh wow, he said slowly. This is incredible. I think I just died and went to heaven. Zara's hands shook as she wrote. The human had died from eating the cake, just like Lisa had warned. But he was still sitting there, still talking. How could he be dead and still eating? Lisa looked at Jake's face and laughed. Look at him. He's completely lost in that cake. Yeah, Pete said. Food coma incoming. Food coma. Now the humans were talking about going into comas from eating. Zara had read about comas. They were like being asleep but not being able to wake up. Were humans so affected by food that it could put them to sleep? Jake finished his cake and leaned back in his chair. His eyes were half closed and he had a big smile on his face. That was perfect, he said. I'm completely satisfied. For now. For now. That meant he would be hungry again soon. How soon? Zara checked the time. The humans had been eating for 30 minutes. Would they need to eat again in an hour? Lisa stood up and stretched. Well, that was great, but I should check on the cargo loading. Good idea, Jake said. I'll come with you. All this food made me sleepy, but we've got work to do. As the humans got up to leave, Zara heard Pete talking to a server from the station. Thanks for the great meal, Pete said. That cake was killer. Killer? The cake was a killer? So it really was dangerous. But why did the humans seem so happy about eating dangerous food? Zara followed the humans at a safe distance as they walked through the station. She needed to observe their behavior after eating. Would they start acting strangely? Would the food affect their minds? But the humans seemed normal. They walked and talked like nothing had happened. Jake even seemed to have more energy than before. After an hour of walking around the station, Jake stopped and put his hand on his stomach again. You know what? He said to Lisa. I'm getting a little peckish again. Zara almost ran into a wall. Peckish after just 1 hour? The human who had devoured his food, died from cake and been hit by soup was already getting hungry again. Lisa looked at Jake with surprise. Already? We just ate. I know, but that walk worked up an appetite. Maybe just a snack? Pete nodded. I could go for something small too. Maybe some of those nuts they had at the food counter. Zara watched in shock as the 3 humans went back toward the food area. How much did these beings need to eat? And what would happen if the station ran out of food? Would the humans start looking at the other aliens as potential meals? She thought about what Jake had said earlier. He could eat horses. 2 horses, according to Lisa. Pete could eat his own boots. And they were already hungry again after eating what looked like large meals. Zara made a decision. She needed to warn someone about this. The humans seemed nice, but they clearly had some kind of eating problem. They ate dangerous food that could kill them. They had physical reactions to eating, and they needed to eat very often. She walked quickly back to her room and sat down at her computer. She needed to send a message to her supervisor right away. Dr. Kess Inda, she typed. I have urgent news about the humans. Their eating habits are much more extreme than we thought. They eat very large amounts of food. They eat dangerous things, and they seem to have strong physical reactions to eating. They also get hungry very quickly and may need to eat several times per day. She stopped typing and thought about what else to add. They use strange words when they talk about food. They say they devour it, that it hits them, and that it can kill them. But they seem to enjoy these dangerous experiences. I'm not sure if this is normal behavior or if these particular humans have some kind of eating disorder. Zara sent the message and sat back in her chair. Tomorrow she would watch the humans eat again. She needed to understand more about their food habits before she could write her final report. But one thing was clear. Humans were much more complicated than anyone had thought. 3 days had passed since Zara started watching the humans. Her datapad was full of notes and her worry was growing bigger every day. She sat in her small lab, typing her report for the Velnari Science Council. Subject: Urgent warning about human eating behaviors. She typed. Her fingers moved quickly across the keyboard. After 3 days of watching human subjects, I must report that their eating habits are far more dangerous than we first thought. The humans show signs of extreme hunger, unusual food choices, and what appears to be food-related violence in their language. She looked at her notes from that morning. Jake had said he was dying for some coffee. Lisa had said the breakfast was absolutely killer. And Pete had mentioned he could murder some bacon. Zara continued typing. The humans speak often about dying, killing, and violence when they talk about food. They also claim they can eat very large animals like horses, and even non-food items like boots. Most concerning, they seem to enjoy food that they say can kill them. Her computer made a soft sound. A message from Dr. Kessinda appeared on her screen. Zara, I have read your daily reports with great concern. The Science Council is now very worried about these humans. Are you sure about what you have observed? Zara typed back quickly. Yes, Dr. Kessinda. I have recorded everything. The humans eat several times per day and are never satisfied for long. They also have strong physical reactions to food that they call foodgasms and food comas. This is very troubling, came the reply. We are sending Dr. Veltar and a team of researchers to help you. We may need to warn other worlds about human eating behaviors. They could be a danger to food supplies across the galaxy. Zara felt scared and proud at the same time. Her research was so important that the Science Council was sending help. But she was also worried about what this meant for relations between humans and other species. A soft knock on her door interrupted her thoughts. She opened it to find Jake standing in the hallway, holding a cup of the dark liquid humans called coffee. "Hey, Zara," Jake said with a smile. "I was just walking by and thought I'd say hello. How's the research going?" Zara's heart started beating fast. Here was one of the dangerous eating humans right at her door, but he looked so friendly and normal. "It is going well," she said carefully. "I am learning much about your people." Jake took a drink from his cup and made a happy sound. "This coffee really hits the spot. I was dragging earlier, but this stuff always wakes me up." There it was again. The food was hitting him. Zara watched Jake's face for signs of pain or damage, but he just looked more awake and happy. "You seem to enjoy foods that hurt you," Zara said, trying to understand. Jake laughed. "Hurt me, this coffee? Nah, it's just strong, though I guess it could hurt someone who's not used to it. Too much caffeine can make you jittery. So the coffee was dangerous to some people." Zara made a mental note. "Jake," she said slowly, "when you say you are starving, do you really mean you are close to death from lack of food?" Jake's eyebrows went up. "Close to death? No. I just mean I'm really hungry."
It's just a way of talking, you know?
Like when I say I'm dying for some good barbecue, I don't actually mean I'm dying. But that made no sense to Zara. Why would someone say they were dying if they were not dying? Why say they were starving if they were not starving? "Your people say things they do not mean?" she asked. "Well, yeah, sometimes it's called exaggeration. We make things sound bigger or more extreme than they really are. It's just how we talk." Zara felt confused. Her people always said exactly what they meant. If a Velnari said they were hungry, they needed food. If they said they were dying, they needed help right away. So when Lisa said she could eat a horse, Jake laughed again. She was just saying she was very hungry. She doesn't really want to eat a horse. That would be gross. And way too much food. And when Pete said he could eat his boots, same thing. Just a funny way to say he was hungry. Pete would never actually eat his boots. They're made of leather and metal. That would be terrible for you. Zara's world felt like it was turning upside down. Everything she had recorded, all her careful notes about human eating habits, might be wrong. But what about the cake that was to die for? She asked. Lisa said it could kill her. Jake shook his head, still smiling. That just means the cake tasted really, really good. So good that it was worth dying for, you know? Not that it would actually kill anyone. Zara sat down heavily in her chair. Your language is very confusing. Yeah, I guess it is. We use a lot of expressions that don't mean what the words actually say. It's just how we grew up talking. Jake sat down across from her. Is this what your research is about? Our language? Zara looked at her data pad full of notes about dangerous human eating behaviors. I thought humans were very dangerous eaters, that you needed huge amounts of food and ate things that could hurt you. Jake was quiet for a moment. Then he started laughing. Not mean laughing, but the kind of laughing that meant he understood something funny. Oh man, Zara, you took everything we said literally, didn't you? Zara felt her blue cheeks get warm. We Velnari always say exactly what we mean. I thought humans did the same. That's actually pretty cool, Jake said. Must make communication a lot easier. No confusion about what someone really means. Usually, yes. But your people... Zara gestured at her notes. Your people are very hard to understand. Jake looked at her data pad. Can I see what you wrote about us? Zara hesitated, then handed him the pad. Jake read quietly, his eyebrows going higher and higher. Oh wow, he said finally. You really did think we were some kind of eating monsters, didn't you? Are you not? Zara asked quietly. Jake shook his head. No, Zara. We're just regular people who happen to use colorful language about food. We eat normal amounts of food, and we definitely don't eat horses or boots. Zara felt embarrassed but also curious. But why do you talk that way about food? Jake thought for a moment. I guess because food is important to us. Not just for nutrition, but for pleasure and social bonding. We get excited about good food, so we use exciting language to describe it. Social bonding? Yeah, we like to eat together. Share meals with friends and family. Food brings us together. Zara thought about the meal she had watched. The humans had seemed happy eating together, talking and laughing. Maybe their strange language was part of that happiness, I think. Zara said slowly. I need to start my research over. Jake smiled and stood up. If you want, I could help explain some of our expressions, and maybe you could teach me about Velnari culture too. As Jake left, Zara looked at her computer screen. The urgent message to the Science Council was still there, ready to send. But now she wondered if she should wait. Maybe she needed to understand human language better before she warned the galaxy about human eating habits. She deleted the message and started typing a new one. Dr. Kessinda, she wrote. I need more time to study the humans. Their language is more complex than I first thought. I may have misunderstood some important things. This research was going to be much harder than she had expected. Zara paced back and forth in the station's main conference room. She had spent 2 more days watching the humans and trying to understand their language, but the more she watched, the more confused she became. Yesterday, Jake had said he was craving something called pizza. Lisa had mentioned she was famished after working on the ship, and Pete had said he could go for some ice cream. Were these more expressions, or did humans really have different levels of hunger? She had called this meeting because she needed answers. Real answers, not more confusing human expressions. The door opened and Jake, Lisa, and Pete walked in. They looked curious but also a little worried. Thanks for coming, Zara said, trying to keep her voice steady. I have some important questions about your people. Jake sat down at the table and folded his hands. Sure, Zara. What do you want to know? Zara pulled out her data pad and set up her recording device. I need you to explain your true dietary requirements and your hunting behaviors. The 3 humans looked at each other with confused faces. Our hunting behaviors? Lisa asked. What do you mean? Zara took a deep breath. I have been watching you for 5 days. I have recorded everything you say about food. You speak of devouring, killing, dying, and attacking your food. You claim you can eat large mammals and leather goods. I need to know if your people are dangerous to other species. Pete's mouth fell open. Dangerous? You think we're dangerous? Let me show you, Zara said. She opened her data pad and started reading her notes. Day 1. Jake Morrison claimed he was starving and could eat horses. Lisa Grant said she could eat 2 horses. Pete Collins said he could eat his own boots. Jake held up his hand. Wait. Those were just day 2, Zara continued. Jake Morrison said he was devouring his sandwich. Lisa Grant said cake was to die for and caused something called a foodgasm. Pete Collins said his food hit the spot and predicted a food coma. Lisa covered her mouth, but Zara could see she was trying not to laugh. Day 3. Jake Morrison said he died and went to heaven from eating cake. Pete Collins called cake a killer. Lisa Grant said she was lost in her food. Zara looked up from her notes. Should I continue? Because I have 2 more days of similar observations. The conference room was very quiet. Then Jake started laughing. Not a little laugh, but a big loud laugh that made his whole body shake. Oh my God, Zara, he said between laughs. You really thought we were some kind of monsters. Zara felt her cheeks get warm again. Your language suggests violent and dangerous eating habits. Lisa was laughing now too. We must have sounded completely crazy to you. Pete shook his head with a smile. No wonder you've been watching us so carefully. You thought we were going to eat someone. Are you not going to eat someone? Zara asked. She felt silly asking, but she needed to know. No, all 3 humans said at the same time. Jake wiped tears from his eyes. Zara, humans don't eat other people. We don't eat horses either, and we definitely don't eat boots. But you said, we were using expressions, Lisa explained. They're like word pictures. We don't mean the actual words. Zara sat down heavily in her chair. I do not understand word pictures. Pete leaned forward. Okay, let me try to explain. When I said I could eat my boots, I meant I was very hungry. But I would never actually eat my boots. They taste terrible and would make me sick. When I said I was starving, Jake added, I just meant I was ready for a meal, not that I was actually dying from hunger. And when I said the cake was to die for, Lisa said, I meant it tasted so good that it was special, worth trying even if it was a little dangerous. But the cake wasn't actually dangerous. Zara looked at her notes again. So when you said you devoured your sandwich, you did not eat it like a wild animal? Jake shook his head. I just ate it quickly because I was hungry and it tasted good. And when you said you died from the cake? I meant I really enjoyed it. It was so good it felt amazing. And food comas? Pete smiled. That's when you eat a big meal and feel sleepy afterward. Not a real coma. Zara felt like her brain was spinning. Why do humans use words that do not mean what they say? The three humans looked at each other. That's actually a really good question, Lisa said. I guess we just grew up that way. Our language has lots of expressions and metaphors. Metaphors? Zara asked. Jake thought for a moment. It's when we compare one thing to another thing to make our point stronger. Like when we say food is to die for, we're comparing how much we want it to something we'd risk our lives for. But you would not actually risk your lives for food. Well, if we were really starving, maybe, Pete said. But for cake? No way. Zara put her head in her hands. Your language is very difficult. Lisa reached over and patted Zara's shoulder. Hey, don't feel bad. You're learning a whole new language and culture. That's really hard. We think it's pretty cool that you're trying to understand us, Jake added. Most aliens just avoid humans because we're too weird. Zara looked up. You are not weird. You are complex, Pete laughed. I like that better than weird. Can you teach me more about your expressions? Zara asked. I need to understand them for my research. Of course, Jake said. But first, can you explain something to us? Why is language so literal for your people? Zara thought about how to explain. For Velnari, truth is very important. We say exactly what we mean because confusion can be dangerous. If someone says they are dying, we send help right away. That makes sense, Lisa said. Your way is probably more efficient, but our way is more colorful, Pete added. We like to make language interesting and fun, Jake nodded. Food is important to human culture. We don't just eat to survive. We eat for pleasure, for social bonding, for celebration. So we use exciting language to talk about it. Social bonding? Zara asked. You mentioned this before. Yeah, we like to share meals with people we care about, Lisa explained. Eating together makes us feel closer to each other. Zara thought about this. So when you use strong language about food, it shows how much you care about the experience? Exactly, Jake said. You get it. And when you eat together, you are strengthening relationships? Right again, Pete said. Food brings people together. Zara looked at her notes with new understanding. Maybe human eating language was not about violence or danger. Maybe it was about joy and connection. I think, she said slowly, I need to study human culture more broadly, not just eating habits. Lisa smiled. We'd be happy to help with that too. Jake stood up. How about we start with a shared meal? We can explain expressions as they come up. Zara felt nervous but also excited. You would eat with me? Even though I misunderstood your people? Of course, Pete said. That's what friends do. Friends. Zara had not expected to make friends during this research mission. But as she looked at the three kind humans, she realized that understanding their culture might be more rewarding than she had ever imagined. I would like that very much, she said. As they walked toward the food area together, Zara felt hope instead of confusion for the first time in days. Maybe human language was not dangerous after all. Maybe it was just different. And maybe different could be wonderful. 2 weeks had passed since the meeting in the conference room. Zara sat in the station's Cultural Exchange Center, typing her final report. But this time she was not alone. Jake sat across from her, helping her understand some of the more difficult human expressions. So when someone says they're in seventh heaven after eating something, Jake explained, they just mean they're very happy with the food. Zara nodded and typed the explanation into her report. And there is no actual seventh heaven they go to? Nope. It's just a way to say something made us extremely happy. Over the past 2 weeks, Zara had learned so much about human language and culture. She had shared meals with Jake, Lisa, and Pete almost every day. They had been patient with her questions and had taught her dozens of expressions. She had also learned that humans were not dangerous eaters at all. They ate normal amounts of food just like most species, but they did have a special relationship with food that was different from her people. Jake, she said, looking up from her typing, can you explain again why food is so important to human social bonding? Jake smiled and leaned back in his chair. Well, think about it this way. When humans share food, we're showing trust and care. We're saying, I want to give you something good. It's one of the most basic ways we show love. And that is why you use such strong language about food? Partly, yeah. Food connects to our emotions. Good food makes us happy, and we want to share that happiness with others. Zara saved her work and looked at what she had written. Her new report was very different from the first one. Instead of warning about dangerous human eating habits, it explained the complex and beautiful way humans used language to express feelings. "I have a question," she said. "Is it normal for humans to help someone who misunderstood their culture so badly?" Jake laughed. "Are you asking if we're usually nice to people who think we're monsters?" Zara felt her cheeks turn warm. "I suppose that is what I am asking. Most humans would probably help, yeah? We know our language is confusing. And besides, you were just trying to do your job well." The door to the center opened and Lisa walked in, carrying a tray with 3 cups. "Coffee break," she announced, setting the tray down on the table. Zara looked at the dark liquid in the cups. She had tried coffee once during her first week with the humans. It had been bitter and strong, and she had not understood why humans loved it so much. "I brought you some too, Zara," Lisa said, "but I added some sweet stuff to make it taste better." Zara picked up her cup and took a small sip. This time, the coffee did not taste bitter. It was warm and a little sweet, and it made her feel more awake. "This is not terrible," she said carefully. Jake and Lisa looked at each other and started laughing. "Did she just give us a compliment?" Lisa asked. "I think she did," Jake said. "Zara, did you just say something nice about our coffee in a very understated way?" Zara realized what she had done. She had used human-style language without thinking about it. Instead of saying the coffee was good, she had said it was not terrible, which was a gentler way to show she liked it. "I suppose I did," she said, feeling a little proud. Pete walked into the center just as Zara was smiling about her language success. "What's everyone so happy about?" he asked. "Zara just mastered the art of the backhanded compliment," Lisa said. Pete grinned. "Nice. You're really getting the hang of human expressions." Zara felt warm inside, and not just from the coffee. These humans had become her friends. They had helped her understand their culture, and they seemed genuinely happy about her progress. "Pete," she said. Jake explained that saying you could eat your boots was just an expression, but why boots specifically? Pete sat down and thought about it. "I guess because boots are about the last thing anyone would want to eat. They're tough, they taste bad, and they're not food at all. So saying you could eat your boots means you're so hungry you'd eat anything. Even things that are not food. It's just pretend hungry," Jake explained. "We would never actually eat non-food things." Zara nodded and made another note in her report. Human expressions often used impossible or extreme situations to show the strength of their feelings. "I think I understand now," she said. "Humans use big dramatic words because you have big dramatic emotions about things you care about." Lisa clapped her hands. "That's exactly right. We're kind of an emotional species. And food is one of the things you care about most. Food, family, friends, experiences," Jake said. "We use strong language about all the things that matter to us." Zara looked at her 3 human friends and realized something important. She had started this research thinking humans were dangerous because of their language, but now she understood that their dramatic expressions actually showed how much they cared about life, about experiences, about each other. "I need to finish my report," she said. "Dr. Kesienda is expecting it today." "What are you going to tell them about us?" Pete asked. Zara smiled. "I am going to tell them that humans are not dangerous eaters. I will explain that your language is complex and metaphorical, but that it comes from a place of passion and caring." She turned back to her computer and began typing her conclusion. "Human food expressions should not be interpreted literally," she wrote. "When humans say they are starving, they mean they are hungry. When they say food is to die for, they mean it tastes very good. When they say they could eat a horse, they mean they are very hungry, not that they actually want to consume large mammals." She paused and looked at her friends, then continued typing. "Humans use dramatic language about food because food is connected to their social and emotional lives. Sharing meals is important to human bonding, and their enthusiastic expressions show how much they value these experiences." "What else are you putting in there?" Lisa asked, reading over her shoulder. "I am recommending that other species learn about human expressions before trying to communicate with them. And I am suggesting that humans might want to explain their metaphors when talking to literal species like mine." Jake nodded. "That's actually really good advice." Zara wrote a few more paragraphs, then saved her report and sent it to Dr. Kesienda. "Done," she said. "My research is complete. So what happens now?" Pete asked. "Do you go back to your homeworld?" Zara had been wondering the same thing. Her original assignment was finished, but she had learned so much in the past few weeks. She did not want to leave. Actually, she said slowly, I have been thinking about requesting a permanent assignment here on the station, as a cultural liaison between humans and other species. The three humans looked excited. That would be amazing, Lisa said. You could help prevent other misunderstandings like the one you had. And you could teach other aliens about human expressions, Jake added. Plus, we'd get to keep our friend around, Pete said with a smile. Friend? Zara liked the sound of that word. She had come to Meridian Station to study humans as research subjects. But she had found something much better. She had found understanding, friendship, and a new purpose. Her computer made a soft sound. A message from Dr. Kessenda appeared on the screen. Zara, it read, your report is fascinating and very helpful. The Science Council is impressed with your thorough research. We have a proposal for you. Would you be interested in staying on Meridian Station as our permanent human culture specialist? Zara laughed out loud, surprising herself and her friends. Good news? Jake asked. Very good news, Zara said. It seems I have a new job. Lisa raised her coffee cup. To Zara, our favorite alien researcher. Jake and Pete raised their cups too. To Zara. Zara picked up her cup and looked at her three friends. She thought about how to respond in proper human fashion. To friendship, she said, and to learning that different does not mean dangerous. They all drank their coffee together, and Zara reflected on everything she had learned. Human language was complex and full of expressions that did not mean what they literally said. But underneath all those metaphors and exaggerations was something beautiful. A species that cared so deeply about life, about experiences, about each other, that their language overflowed with passion and emotion. She had started this research thinking humans were dangerous. Now she knew they were just wonderfully, dramatically, enthusiastically human, and she was proud to call them her friends. As they sat together in the cultural center, sharing coffee and conversation, Zara realized that the best discoveries were not always the ones you planned to make. Sometimes the most important thing you could learn was how much you had in common with someone who seemed completely different from you. Her cheeks were no longer warm with embarrassment. Now they were warm with happiness, friendship, and the satisfaction of a job well done.